Today, we're going to be doing deep dive onto websites and how to, best practices from the Q3 and Q4 of 2025 perspective. I think maybe this is not necessarily the most exciting topic, but I'll tell you what, all roads lead where? They lead to the website. The website is your hub. It's a super important piece of the overall marketing puzzle. Really quickly, just for those of you that are not familiar with us, we have I cannot believe March will be 15 years already. I'll be brief about this, but we are very proud members of the industry's biggest associations. We're very involved. This is our industry, just like yours, and we only work with out of security companies. How we help is digital marketing. If you'd like more information about how we can help, or even how we can audit what it is that you're doing on a one-on-one basis, I'm going to have a slide here with Isabella in just a moment. There'll be a QR code. In terms of the groups that we work with the entire ecosystem of the industry, including that of security alarm dealers, with integrators, guard and patrol companies, fire alarm companies, and we also work with the vendors that support that of the channel. I have been very blessed to speak at many of the industry's events, many of the industry's biggest events, I should rather say. And I'm going to have a slide here in just a moment about a new logo that I'll be able to put up on this slide here momentarily. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, I would love to connect on LinkedIn. And by the way, well, before I was going to share something else, but I'll share that in just a moment. Here's where this QR code here, if you want to scan that, if you'd like to schedule a meeting with me, feel free to scan that of this QR code. And I, once again, want to give a big thanks to Isabella, who most of the time, whenever she reaches out to everyone, you are all incredibly kind and gracious. She wants to make sure that you've got today's session on that of your calendar. So big thanks to Isabella. If you'd like to schedule a meeting with me, this is the QR code for that. Okay. I also do get asked, by the way, if these sessions are being recorded. And yes, this session is being recorded. We will make sure that we send you the replay after today's session so you have it for your reference, just in case there's something that you didn't catch or you want to watch a few of the minutes or watch the entire replay, you can do so. I want to give a big thanks to that of both of our sponsors. And I want to, first of all, speak to that of Recognize. So Recognize is the leader in outdoor security, specifically when it comes to like visual verification. Keep in mind, most of us, I'm not going to ask a show of hands or what have you here virtually on Zoom, but most of us that install security systems, we are deploying video surveillance as part of that. I would say 99, if not 100% of us are including video surveillance. And obviously, video surveillance can be affixed to that of your, from the perimeter perspective, can be affixed to your building, to the structures. It can be interior for various reasons. But keep in mind, you may have end users that have large campuses, or whereas power or cellular communications are challenges and things in that regard. And keep in mind, our good friends at Recognize, they've got an entire ecosystem or an entire platform with a number of different products and solutions that really help so that we can do this on a wireless basis. We can help to reduce that of false alarms. Keep in mind, the installation's very simple, and there's a lot of great opportunity, not just to deliver value to that of the end users that you're servicing, but to also generate high value RMR, and to be able to get into end user opportunities that you haven't before. So visit recognize.com and let them know that your good friends at SD Marketing sent you. Next, I want to give a big thanks to our good friends at NAPCO. So once again, I would imagine most of us are familiar with NAPCO, but NAPCO's been around since 1969. And keep in mind, like, once again, NAPCO, you can literally almost run your entire security business on NAPCO's entire platform, from the security as well as the life safety perspective. A big thanks to that of our great friends at NAPCO and to Recognize for sponsoring today's webinar. And with that said, I want to just, before I get into some poll questions, if you are attending GSX, I'll ask, is anybody here attending GSX? Feel free to send me a note to host and panelists, or to everyone. I happen to be, of course, I will be at GSX, but if anyone's going to be at GSX, send me a note, because I'd love to be able to connect or feel free to schedule a time where we can spend some time together at GSX. Really looking forward to that. By the way, I may be flying back on a special day for me, but Big 4-9 is coming up. All right. With that said, I want to, before we get into this, actually, I want to thank you and awesome. Jill, look forward to seeing you, and Alex. I won't see you there this year, but look forward to seeing you soon. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So before we get into today's main content, I have just three quick short questions that would be greatly appreciated on the on that of the Slido. That would be greatly appreciated. Yes, perfect. Okay, awesome. Ron, look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so just remember, team, this is anonymous, so I don't know what your answers are. I will ask that you answer these honestly. And as you are answering these questions honestly, I'd like for you to reflect on how are your peers answering this, if that makes sense. So, of course, the first question is, what's your website current conversion rate? And you don't know, is it under 2%, 2 to 5%, or is it over 5%? And if we can, we'll give this just another minute or so, or another 5-10 seconds or so. So it does not surprise me that the 2/3 of us are saying that we have no idea, we don't track it. We'll give this just another 3 to 5 seconds. We'll move on to the next question. Okay, well, I don't see anyone that's over 5%, and I'm going to move on to the next question in 3, 2, 1. But I do like the fact that there are actually 17% of us that are seeing between 2 to 5%. That's actually a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. Okay, next question is, how many leads does your website currently generate on a monthly basis? Is it 0 to 5, 6 to 20, 21 to 50, over 50? And once again, we don't have any idea because we don't track it. So once again, how many leads is our website generating monthly? And if we can once again go ahead and answer that honestly, we'll give this another 5-10 seconds. Okay, so I do see just under a quarter of us, or about a third of us, is not tracking. I will say the good news, by the way, team, is by the end of today's discussion, we're going to be able to solve these challenges. The short answer is we have got to ensure that Google Analytics is integrated onto your website. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes here. But I see here it's about a third, anywhere between I don't track it, 0 to 5, and 6 to 20. The good news is these are all the things that the principles that we're going to be discussing today are going to be super helpful. One last question, and then we'll move on to the main content. I want to actually also, I'm going to point out a question that was asked of me and I thought that this was a good one to bring up towards the beginning of the session. Okay, what's your number one website frustration right now? Is it too few leads despite decent traffic? Is it visitors leave us without contacting us? Looks outdated compared to competitors, works on desktop but not mobile, and don't know if it's working because once again, we don't have any tracking. So let's give this just another few moments or so. What is your number one website frustration? And we'll give everyone just another moment. Okay, well, it's interesting. I did expect for this to be a high number, but I didn't expect for it to be well over 50%. Don't know if it's working because no tracking. We'll give this just another 3, 4, 5 seconds. Too few leads. Okay, it looks outdated compared to competitors. Yeah, I will say the looks outdated compared to competitors. Yeah, I will say this, and I hope that I don't think anyone from my design team is on, but if they are, earmuffs. And I mean this with all due respect. Design is really, really important because it helps with the perception. And we're going to talk about the fact that we have the attention span that's less than that of a goldfish. And we've got to make sure that we have that first impression. But I will say this, the actual messaging or the content is critically important and things in that regard. But okay. But it is important to make sure, look, we are security companies. We are companies that whereas we're viewed as being almost like a technology company. So the visual element is really, really important. Okay, so let me stop sharing. I'm going to reshare here in just a moment. Okay, one moment. Okay, so one thing that I just wanted to share really quickly is I was asked a question and I thought that it would be a good one to answer. I wanted to make sure that I answered this before things got too late and while we have everyone on board. Because I think this is a question that even if you don't have, everyone should have this question, which is, should you have a page dedicated to A, the cities you serve, and B, the counties you serve for better search appearances versus a blanket statement like, and I'm gonna, for privacy reasons, I'm not going to reference the area, serving that of the major metropolitan market. And this individual reference, I've been noticing other websites doing this, and I'm curious as to whether this is effective. So I wanted to address this. So what this individual is referencing is specifically what we refer to internally as like the geographic landing pages or the service-based location pages. So keep in mind, like we're based in Los Angeles. And obviously, for those of you that are familiar with Los Angeles is one of the biggest metropolitan markets throughout the entire country. And when you take into consideration that of your primary website, like the homepage and the primary service pages that we have, we should be focusing on a singular or a couple of the primary cities or service areas. So, for us, we happen to be about 35, 40 miles east of actually Los Angeles, although Los Angeles, without question, is the biggest area. So depending upon where we're looking to acquire our customers, that primary area, we want to focus on that from the homepage perspective, as well as the main service-based pages. Now, you have now generally speaking, with the groups that we speak with, I'm taking out of consideration the nationals or the super regionals that are going to be in multiple states. But in a general sense, we're going to want to focus on that of, once again, the primary service area. And then we are, in fact, going to want to build out not necessarily county pages, although I'm sure that there are exceptions to the rules. But what we want to do is we want to create city-based pages, and we want to focus on popularity/population. So, for example, let's say, we happen to be in the city of Irwindale. Cities near us would be like Covina. Well, I guess that doesn't really matter because we can insert the cities based on where it is that you are throughout the country. We're going to want to focus not necessarily on every single city, but what are the cities that have the biggest population? And we want to create those specific pages that are speaking to the specific security, fire, life safety, smart home, etc. All of the pages that we're building out and things in that regard. To the individual that referenced this, Isabella will reach out to you directly. We can schedule a time, and I'll dig really deep into this, and I'll share this more in detail with you. But what I will say is, as you have any of questions, jot those down and feel free to enter them in the chat. And I may answer them right away, or I may wait towards the end to address those. And now let's go to when let's take into consideration that of a reality check. When we take a look at like the questions that were just answered a few minutes ago, one of the questions was talking about, one of the answers to one of the questions was talking about, we're not, and I know the answer was referring to the visual design, but I suspect it goes beyond the visual design. Because I'll tell you what, there are many times, whereas if I'm having a one-on-one conversation with a security company and what we see on the website versus what's communicated to me in terms of the value prop, what we're doing, the latest in technology, all the things that we're doing, these two things don't add up. And it's like the reality check is, guess what? Your competitor's website just beat you again. And here's the thing. If we were to compare, and this is a figurative, example here, but let's just say, we're comparing ourselves versus one of our competitors. And let's say all things being equal, both of the websites are generating 500 visitors a month from Google. The challenge is their website is converting at 4%, which equals 20 leads, versus our website is generating at half the conversion rate at 2%, which equals 10 leads. They're getting 2 times that of the leads from the same traffic. That is a huge, significant challenge that many security companies face. It's like same, and keep in mind, like the spend may be the same, and maybe in the same market, but what's their advantage? And I don't want to just give a general statement stating that it's a better website, but this website has a lot of key components, focusing on many details. With the websites that we build, we're very methodical and we're very purposeful, and it's all about the power of our network. And with that of these security company websites that we're building, we're very methodical, not just, and I know it's hard to see me right now, not just how we're looking at it from a desktop perspective, but also from that of the mobile phone perspective as well. And in many cases, and if you were to take a look at your analytics, a lot of these websites are in fact generating a lot more traffic on mobile versus that of on the desktop. So take these things into consideration. You know what it's like, and this is more of a rhetorical statement, but imagine if you're generating, let's say you're generating 2 leads a month, 5 leads a month, 10 leads a month, 20, 40, 50, 100. What would double the extra leads be worth to you? In some cases, it clearly would be an opportunity to generate a lot more revenue, because the security companies that I'm speaking with, when valid, legitimate leads are coming in, they're usually close. And keep in mind, obviously, when we talk about the certain commercial end users, the sales cycle takes a lot longer. Completely understand that. But generally speaking, groups that I speak with are converting at anywhere from lead to conversion, anywhere from the low end, the 20s, the low 20s, all the way to the high end, to north of 50%. This is significant opportunity. So these things that we're going to be talking about here are critically important. In terms of what separates that of, I don't necessarily, I know we say here winners from losers, but what separates us is a lot of the specific traits and the key components on the website. In terms of groups that have higher conversion rates, they have specific traits that are shared. And they're not, and keep in mind, I go back to, like, my old man would always tell me, Dave, you don't always just want to work hard. You want to be working smarter. And that goes true here in terms of your marketing as well. It's not just about throwing stuff on the website. It's being very methodical about it. And by the way, some of these fixes, I'm going to be really specific about this over this next few minutes. Some of these take actually just minutes and not necessarily hours. And by the way, the things that we're going to be discussing today are not necessarily requiring for you to completely redo that of your website. And by the way, in many cases, some of the technology that's used is free, or there are free versions to it. And some of the costs are going to be less than that of a cost of that of just a single residential monitoring account. And here's the thing, when it comes to that of your roadmap, we want to basically, I go back to my good friend, John Loud. I don't know, is John on here? Okay, I don't think I see John in here quite yet, unless he's hiding under one of it. No, I'm kidding. But like, John Loud is known for, his R&D, which is rip off and duplicate. But the key here is focus on what works and skip what doesn't. And the key here is, over these next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through that of this blueprint. So over these next few minutes, we're going to talk about the transformation blueprint. Step one is like how we decode the actual psychology of that of high converting sites. We want to, in an ethically way, we want to be able to, once again, R&D, rip off and duplicate, steal tactics from that of our competitors. We want to focus on AI-powered lead capture. And there's going to be these, remember, and for those of you that I have had discussions with before, you may have heard me say, tiny hinges swing big doors. It's following that 80-20 principle. What are the 20% of the activities that are generating 80% of the results? And in this particular case, these are going to be literally just fixes that can be done in minutes. And then how do we build our actual domination plan? And by the way, a big thanks to my team to really help me to put this together. We actually have not one, not two, but we have three. And by the way, Isabella, can I ask you for a favor? Can you, I think, if you can let me know the names of these three so I don't butcher these, but we have three reference guides. These are, you don't have to fill out a form. We'll have a QR code at the end where you can download 3 reference guides. And these reference guides are speaking to that of your actual plan and actual site audit. And I forget that of the third resource, but we've got 3 resources here. And these are rather extensive that we put together for you. So with that said, and I actually already went through the poll question. So when we talk about that of the foundation itself, I mentioned a couple minutes ago that we now have the attention span that's less than that of a goldfish. And nearly 3 in 4 users, before they pick up the phone and call or before they fill out a form, even if they're referred to us, they're researching online before they call anyone. And once again, whether it's on their computer or whether it's on their actual user, their mobile device, it is so simple to be able to, how do I say this, to be able to access information in ways that we never have before. And keep in mind, and by the way, and I purposely have this in parenthesis, I'd like for you to check how much of your website traffic is coming through that of your mobile device. And if your website's not mobile responsive, or if you don't have a mobile version, that's a problem. Keep in mind, on the average, over 50% of traffic, and keep in mind, depending upon who your end users are and how you are marketing, that will dictate this, but a good percentage of users are coming through mobile traffic. And by the way, for those that are coming through a mobile experience, if they've had a not so good one, they may not either A, fill out a form, pick up the phone, or refer others to you. And keep in mind, once again, 94% of the first impressions are design related. And I want to include in that, what's the headline? What is the first thing that I see? Because remember, it's easy to hit the X, it's easy to hit back and to go find someone that you believe can really truly help you. And nearly, or just over 1 in 4 are now using AI tools like ChatGPT and others for that of research. And keep in mind, for those of us that have not updated our website in a few years, your 2020 website is not going to be getting it done as we're closing out 2025 and beyond. And let me just take a look at the chat. I see a few things here. Okay. And thank you, Isabella. I appreciate that. So the reference guides just team, so you know, is we've got a 15-minute audit checklist. So by the way, I'm going to be going through a high level. There will be some specifics that I'm going to be walking through, but we've got 3 reference guides. That's a 15-minute audit checklist, a competitor intelligence tracker, and then that of the Q4 implementation calendar. So these are 3 really extensive tools, and make sure that make sure that we make sure that you download those. We'll have the QR code for you on those. So thank you, Isabella. Appreciate that. Okay, so is our website guilty of these 7 sins? Number 1, when you first go to the website, is it clear as to what you do? And really think about this, because remember, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. It is crystal clear, not just visually, but also messaging wise. What do we do and how can you help me? And when I say me, enter every single one of your prospects and things in that regard. Number 2, your mobile site, it requires that pinching or expanding. It's not mobile optimized. Number 3, your contact info is hidden. Number 1, it's not easy to click on being able to make a phone call. You've got to actually click to be able to get contact info, things in that regard. Number 4, we don't have any trust signals that are above the fold. It's you're not necessarily looking credible. Number 5 is we're only using generic stock photos. Now, by the way, we happen to use stock photos. We happen to customize or personalize those. But you don't want to just be, you want to be hyper personalized, if that makes sense. And then number 6 is you're making it really difficult for your users to engage with you. There isn't an actual path to conversion. And then last but definitely not least is your load time is greater than 3 seconds. I'm going to talk about an actual tool about that here in just a moment. Now, when you take into consideration, some of your competitors are leveraging that of various types of lead capture forms, not just the forms, but whether it's an AI-based chatbot, whether it's online chat that allows for text messaging, things in that regard. Keep in mind, you've got to make sure that you are leveraging all of the tools and the latest and greatest, because remember, you may have some customers, the demographics of your customers may be very specific. It may be very wide. And especially for those of you that are very wide, because you may have individuals they just want to pick up the old-fashioned telephone and call for all their questions. You may have some that are interested in texting. You may have some that are filling out forms. You may have some that want to consume a tremendous amount of content on your website, see what others are saying about you, etc. And the key here is you want to make sure that you're making it easy for them to do business with you. With the forms, you want to make sure that you have forms that are conducive. Now, look, with existing customers that are requiring service, it's okay to be a little more lengthy. But the more lengthy you make your forms, especially for prospects, it is less and less conducive to being filled out. You want to make sure, keep in mind you've got whether it's the showing like the 5-star reviews or even leveraging video that is sharing not necessarily just the fact that I recommend XYZ security company, but it's talking about the process. Like, they're sharing stories and video in terms of why were they looking for a security company for their home or for their business. What was the process like going through that, as they were going through that before it was they're making that of their decision? And then ultimately, what was the result? Keep in mind, this is more than just an actual testimony. It's more of like that of a mini case study, if that makes sense. Also, make sure that from the mobile first perspective, it's thumb friendly. It's very easy to find what you're looking for. And from the speed, ideally, the load times are going to be 2 seconds or less. Okay. Yes, absolutely. I won't reference you by name, but someone asked if you can get a copy of this to pass along to your CEO. Absolutely, we can make sure that we get you, and I'll make sure that I work with Isabella to get this over to you. Or if you'd like to send a note, well, I'll make sure that we're in good shape to get this over to you. Okay, so next, let's talk about that of the psychology of conversion. So if you look at this clock countdown timer here, it's 8 seconds. 8 seconds is not a long time, especially when I'm speaking. All right. Let me quit trying to be funny. But here's the thing. You have just a mere few seconds to ultimately put yourself in a position to convert, or else guess what? You run the challenge of potentially losing out to having that prospect convert forever. And here's the thing. You've got the first 1 to 2 seconds is that visual first impression in terms of what are we saying and how do we look? Do we look credible? Is it clear? Like, are you compelling me? Are you hooking me to want to learn more? Or am I clicking the X or the back button? Seconds 3 through 4. What is it that we do? And does it once again relate to what it is that we do? Can I trust you? Like, keep in mind, there are some end users that are all about price and have these conversations on a daily basis. And there's a race to the bottom that perhaps none of us wants to win. And by the way, if you're the low price provider in your market, that's A-okay, because that's how you've chosen to do business. But most of the independent security companies that we work with, they're amongst the higher cost providers in their area. And this is why these things are so important, because perhaps, and I will say this, and I'm not going to ask for a show of hands or some comments in the chat, but a lot of the business that we see comes through that of our customers' doors are going to be that of takeovers. And it could be taking over from another professionally monitored system, perhaps from one of the nationals. And I know one of the nationals was in the news of being acquired, I think in the last day or two. I won't name names right now. Or perhaps through like the DIY providers, like the Rings of the world, so to speak. And the key here is we want to make sure that we're demonstrating how we're unique and different. And it's not just about the professional installation, but it's the professional services, i.e. monitoring and the other services that we're layering. And then we want to make it very clear, what should we do next? And then, by the way, if these questions are not answered within the first few seconds, guess what's going to happen? We don't want this. They're gone. Okay, so trust, that when we take into consideration the trust trigger framework, these are 5 of the most important trust triggers that help to convert visitors. So number 1, social proof. We talked about video, but it could be video. It could be just a review showing the 5-star things in that regard that are helping to build instant trust. Keep in mind certifications, awards, the number of years in business, right? Remember, no one wants to be the guinea pig. No one wants to be the first. They want to make sure that you can get the job done right the first time. Remember, when you're coming in to deploy that or install that of a system in a home or a business, they want to have minimal disruption. They want you to be in and out. They want you to get it done right the first time. They want the system to be reliable. They're expecting for certain things to happen. We want to make sure that we are positioning ourselves as that of the authority locally in that market. The other thing is security. keep in mind, I know I don't have a browser up right now, but like usually in the web bar, you'll see the padlock. We want to make sure, and most of the websites that we see these days do include these, but these are like a given. And by the way, if we don't have these, not only are users that are savvy realize, hey, there's a problem, but by the way, Google actually states you may not want to go to this website. Like these are almost a given and critical. Like all these things are critical in terms of things. Obviously, the professional design is also really, really important as well. Urgency. You may want to have some type of offers. I mean, we are now in Q, we're closing out Q3 and it's about to be Q4 as you're watching this live. And keep in mind, this is, in it, I know that a lot of retail, and I'm talking about outside of security, you take into consideration, what is it called? Black Friday, right? If my memory serves me correct, which is like the day after Thanksgiving. Usually, this is the day of the year where the retail businesses are going from the red into the black. And that's why they've got a lot of sales and things in that regard. Like, be bold, be different, update your website to offering some of these offers. Things in this regard, especially for those of us that are working with Resi and SMB. I know for the integrators that we work with, it's going to be less conducive to that, but there are ways to do that without necessarily just, talking about price and things in that regard. But the key here is urgency and things in that regard. Give them a reason to actually want to do business with you right away. And then clarity, last but not least, clarity. Keep things simple. Remember, in many cases, less is more. And we want to make sure that we are always guiding and walking them in the right steps, if that makes sense. Okay, so next, like the mobile thumb zone. Knowing that a lot of our traffic comes through that of mobile devices, we want to make sure that we have the natural thumb reach. We have call to actions that are easy to click through. There's a reason as to why we have certain things carefully positioned in a particular area. When you take into consideration the yellow zone, this is going to be like a slight stretch. So these are like secondary actions. And then the red zone is going to be harder, especially like, with when you get to like the phones that are a little bigger, it's a little harder to click on certain things in that regard. So you want to be really, really, you want to be very methodical in things in that regard. And you want to make sure that you have the sticky CTAs, or the call CTA stands for call to actions, that are within that of the green zone. So let's take into consideration just a couple of examples of like when we're analyzing some of the like a good website and then like a poor website and things in that regard, what excellence looks like. So keep in mind, in the green zone, we've got natural thumb reach and the call to actions that are there. We've got those trust badges. We have a sticky call to action is always present. In other words, when you're scrolling, going page by page, it's very simple to do what? To be able to click on the phone icon so that users can easily pick up the phone and call you. And keep in mind that we're loading within that of 2 seconds. Now, on the other hand, some of the mistakes that will kill conversions is that we have generic headline. It's like, okay, welcome to XYZ security. Like, okay, like who cares, right? It's not about when I say us, meaning us as the businesses, it's about our prospective customers. It's about them. And we need to look at it from their perspective. What is important to them? We need to be speaking directly to them, if that makes sense. So this is where we don't, and also we want to make sure that we want to make sure we have phone numbers that are visible, obviously using stock photos, and forms are buried, and the load time is that of like 5+ seconds. When we take a look at some of the advanced things to take into consideration, is there are certain hidden problems that perhaps at first glance you may not see, but the visitors, they actually fill them. Number one is like a button, and generally speaking, we don't see this a lot, but this is where we don't want to have buttons that jump, meaning when you're scrolling or moving, they're jumping, because then it makes things very, very difficult for them. Obviously, it goes without saying, we don't want to have forms that are broken. We don't want to have, like, even for example, on the blog post, you want to make it really simple to be able to, like, what's the next step? Call to action takes you in a certain area to learn more about the service that's related to that blog, things in that regard. You don't want to have, analysis paralysis, because if you have too many service options, that equals confused users. And by the way, someone that's confused, that's not someone that's going to be buying or what have you. And you don't want to have that of a mobile mess. In other words, you don't want to be pinching or zooming to read that of anything. When we talk about that of turning website visitors into text conversations, keep in mind with that of like, and by the way, there are what's referred to as AI-based chatbots There are mobile chat, text messaging. This is an example of Podium. There are hundreds and hundreds of these types of tools that are out there. But keep in mind, and looking at this from like the mobile perspective, you can either call, you can fill out the form, and you can click on this button here that's either text us or contact us, depending upon what that tool is. Or would actually reference a couple of these tools here in just a moment. But keep in mind, we want to make it easy for our customers to be able to engage with us, as opposed to if you're not available at the moment when they need help, they may move on to someone else that is available during that particular time. So here is the 7-layer trust stack that actually helps to convert. Focusing on that of the SSL and the fast load / mobile responsive, these things are like the given. Then we need to make sure, and I stress this. Now, by the way, if you're a national, that's different. But if you're focused on a local community or what have you, you want to have a local phone number. You want to have a physical address. And by the way, this is important for the talk that we're going to be giving next month. But this is really, really important for your Google business profile, for your search engine optimization, things in that regard. You also want to make sure that you are including the 5-star reviews on your website. You want to make sure that you're referencing any like case studies, things in this regard. We want to make sure that you're incorporating some of these other trust signals with certifications, associations, awards that you belong to. Also, not just the number of years that you're in business, especially for those of us that are multi-generational, have been around for a long time, but you want to incorporate team photos. This is really, really important, not just for users, but it's also important for these are great signals for Google and for the AI-based search engines as well. And then also that of the privacy policy and guarantees. These are really, really important. That we just talked about that of live chat. So in terms of let's transition now towards ethical competitor spying tactics. And some of these are things you're going to want to jot down. So I'm going to start from the top. So if we want to take into consideration what are some of the words that our competitors are showing up for in the search engines and what is being incorporated onto their websites, you'll want to use SEMrush. Now, this is a slight cost. There are other tools like Ahrefs and other tools that will go about helping you with some of the keyword gaps. Now, built with, there's no cost for this. So this is going to be builtwith.com. If you'd like to see what is, what is a website, what is the tech stack that a website's built on? Now, most websites are built on WordPress. I was just speaking with someone earlier today that their website's built on Webflow. I mean, there's a number of different website platforms. But if you'd like to see what is the tech stack in terms of what's the website platform that it's built on, which analytics-based tools are on the website, those types of things, you can access all of that on Built With. Now, if you would like to see offers that are being run for that of security companies that are running Facebook ads, you can go to the Facebook, and these are things that you can all Google, by the way. You can go to Facebook ad library, and it'll take into consideration what are the offers, what are the ads that are being run, and the history of all of those ads and things in that regard. Now, if you'd like to take a look at the evolution of a website, in other words, obviously we're all able to access the existing version of the website, but if we would like to go back historically and see previous versions of the website, you can go to the Internet Archive, which is going to be archive.org, and then go back to the Wayback Machine to be able to learn that. And then, of course, if you would like to see where are some of the challenges or weaknesses from that of our competitors, you'll want to analyze that of their reviews, if that makes sense. And you can go on to obviously Google, to the Google Business Profile, to even that of Yelp, to Facebook, to Bing, and all these, and you can take a look at what the reviews, what are their customers saying about them, and see as to whether you can identify any opportunities and things in that regard that can be leveraged for yourself. Okay, so the next, when we talk about that of the actual implementation, so here is a quick list if you want to take a quick snapshot of this. These are 5 changes that can be made very, very quickly. You can add, on your mobile version, you can add that of a floating phone button. So what this means is you want to make sure that you have the phone. Now, for that of the groups that we work with, these are already the case. But you want to make sure that, once again, when you're scrolling down on the page on your phone, as an example, your phone number is present, so it's easy to click on that regardless as to where on the page you are. You want to make sure that you're compressing images for speed. And by the way, there are tools for this to be able to compress images for speed. You can add trust badges to that of the header. Make sure that the number not just is visible, omnipresent, but it's also clickable. And then meta descriptions. And meta descriptions are when you're in Google, the actual prime link, the information that's below that of the prime link, when you click on a listing, that's that actual meta description. And that's helping the user to identify of the listings in Google, which one should I actually click on and things in that regard. So here is a quick tool stack if you want to take a quick snapshot of this. Most of these are free, and these are literally like potentially the only tools that you may need. Obviously, there are many other tools in this, and in some of these categories, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of competing type tools. But number one, and I can demo this if somebody would like, if time permits, I can demo this tool. If anybody would like to be a volunteer, feel free to send me in the chat your URL, and I can actually go to this and see as to what Google is saying in terms of the page speed here in just a moment. So this will give insights in terms of what is our page speed, how long does it take to load, and then also what are the things that Google is recommending for you to update in order to increase or improve that of the results themselves. So Hotjar, a few slides back, you'll see that I had a heat map. So this actually has as little as free versions to like its freemium version. So there's a small fee on a monthly basis if you'd like to get the paid version of this. But what this does is this will screen record that of users in terms of how are they engaging with your website? How far are they scrolling down? Where are they clicking? Things in that regard. So it gives a lot more data and insights versus that of just the Google Analytics, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. In terms of the live chat slash chatbots, there are, once again, a number of these tools. I referenced Podium earlier. There's Drift, Talk2. There are a number of these. If you would like to get a list of these as well, feel free to schedule time with me and we can talk a little bit more in detail about this. So CallRail, this is going to be for call tracking. And with that of the call tracking, this is where instead of using just your regular traditional phone number, you can have a tracking phone number so that you're able to quantify them along with not just quantifying them, but you can actually listen to the phone calls for quality and making adjustments accordingly. In terms of some of the graphics, so there is a free version to Canva. Obviously, there's paid versions as well. Canva is very simple and easy to use. And then last but definitely not least, I highly recommend this if you do not only if you don't have Google Analytics added to your website, but if you don't have access to it, you've got to make sure you get access to this because this will give you insights, including how much time, how many users are coming to our website on a weekly, daily, weekly, monthly basis. Where are they coming from? How much time are they spending? How many conversions are we generating on a monthly basis? What's the exit page? What's the bounce rate? Bounce rate equals what's the amount of the percentage of users that are coming to your website and they leave without engaging, things in that regard. In terms of some of the, in terms of like the first few weeks, week one, we want to make sure that we're focused on that of speed and mobile fixes. Week two, we want to focus on that of trust signals and call to actions. We want to make sure that week three, we're focusing on that of chat and automation setup. Week four is competition analysis and content. And as you do all these things over these coming weeks, it's going to help you to generate more and more leads, things in this regard. If we take into consideration now over these next 90 days, keep in mind, this is just a quick high-level overall snapshot. These resources that I'm going to provide you links to here in about 5 minutes or so are going to go through these literally on a step-by-step basis. But you'll want to, as we focus on all of these and we're tracking on a weekly basis and measuring what it is that's working, it's going to help to generate a higher percentage of conversions based on the users that are coming to that of your website. Now, when we take into consideration for those of us that say, okay, Dave, this is all fine and dandy. You're telling me these things can be done within minutes, but what are our options in order to get these done? Well, these are things that you can either bootstrap / focus on it internally. Now, keep in mind, this is going to require a lot of your time, but the cost, when I say is going to be low, meaning the expenditure of dollars is going to be low, unless you hire someone internally. But if you want to use a freelancer, this is going to, in other words, you want to guide someone else. This is where it's medium time and a medium cost. Whereas if you potentially want to work with a third-party agency as an example, so that you're able to focus on your business, it requires a lot less of your time, but there's more of an investment required. The big thing here is to take into consideration is you've got to make sure, like, doing nothing is not going to get the job done, if that makes sense. You've got to be able to pick and identify what makes sense and proceed accordingly from there. Now, in terms of some metrics that matter, and these are really, really important things to factor in, is in terms of your conversion rates, meaning the number of users that are coming to your website and what percentage of them either A, fill out a form, they use the online chat, or fill out or make a phone call. That's one metric that matters. Number two is going to be, what's the sources? Like, where are your leads coming from? Where is your traffic coming from? Are they coming from ads? Are they coming organically? Are they coming direct? The difference between organic and direct is users that are typing in xyzsecuritycompany.com on their browser and they're coming direct to your website, as opposed to they're coming to you from Google. Are they coming to you through your email? Are they coming to you via social media? Are they coming through a referral partner, meaning you may have strategic partnerships with that of other related third parties and things in that regard? I.e., how much is, how long is that of the how long is it taking for your website to actually load? And then what's your bounce rate? You want to make sure that you're keeping your bounce rate, ideally, if at all possible, to at least 50% or less. And once again, as a reminder, the number of users, the percentage of users that come to your website and they leave without that of engaging. And then this is more of a qualitative number, which is of the leads. Let's say we've got 10, 15, 20, 30 leads that are coming in. What is the caliber of those leads? Those are super important as well. In terms of like the next steps, so let's make sure this week that we make sure these are easy things that can be done. Make sure that your number is clickable. We want to make sure that we add at least one trust signal, and then test that of your mobile experience, meaning is your website conducive to that phone? Most of you are going to be in good shape, but those of you who are not, these are the first few steps that you want to work with that. And if you want to email me directly in terms of some of your results, or have a post on LinkedIn and tag me, I'll help to amplify that. I will say this, in a couple of weeks, I'll feature that of the best transformation in terms of the before and after with things. So what I will say here really quickly is, for anyone here that is interested in having us have a website conversion assessment, for the first 5 companies, we will do a no-cost website conversion assessment to see where are some of the opportunities for improvement for you, and provide you with what the priority recommendations are, and more of a competitive comparison versus that of your competitors, if that makes sense. So in terms of like final thoughts, then I'm going to walk you through that of the actual resources here in just a sec. We've got 2 choices that have 2 different outcomes. It's like, we can keep our current website and keep our current results, or B, we can invest in that of the improvements and capture more leads, right? Because remember, tiny hinges swing big doors. Small changes equal big differences. Your competitors are choosing B. And today is the opportunity for you to make these changes. And which one are you going to choose? I'd reference this. I'm going to keep this up here just for a moment. But scan this. This is going to go into great detail in terms of your audit. We want to be able to track that of our competitors, and then ultimately our Q4 implementation calendar. Obviously, if you'd like to book a time with us to discuss things more in detail, we can as well. But these are things that you can take to that of your team to go ahead and, once again, audit that of your website, audit your competitors, and then the step-by-step in order to implement these. And while we're waiting, I'm going to leave this up for another 5 seconds just so everybody can scan this QR code. If anybody has any specific questions, I'd love to be able to address those. Okay, gotcha. I do see an individual sent me a direct note, so I will not reference you by name. Like to sign up for this, but I need to speak with the CEO. No problem at all. Yeah. definitely can, if you have any specific questions that we can help with, we can speak directly on an offline basis. So thank you very much for your note. Okay. Uh, in terms of any questions you have, I mean, if anybody would like for me to do like a quick little audit of your website, or if anybody has any specific questions, feel free to enter that in the chat. Otherwise, I'd like to thank everyone for today in going through this, and I want to make a quick special announcement. So, this next month on October 14th, we're going to do a deep dive into local SEO. And with that of the SEO, from the SEO perspective, we're not only going to talk about that of like the Googles of the world, but we're going to have a quick little intro to that of the AEO or GEO. And I suspect that probably a lot of us have never heard of that before. When I say AEO or GEO, that is answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization, i.e., ChatGPTs of the world. So uh, please sign up for this today before while this is top of mind, and we'll do a deep dive into that. I don't see any, I mean, I see a couple of notes that are being sent to me directly in terms of thanking me for all the kind information. I appreciate all of your kind feedback. I'm not seeing any specific questions right now. If you have any questions, we can address those. Otherwise, we're going to be actually wrapping up for a change on time, and I'm very, very appreciative of everyone's time today, and I look forward to seeing those of you that I'll see at GSX or perhaps at ISC East coming up here in a couple months. But until next time, make it a great day, and really appreciate you spending all of your time with us today. So thank you so much.